Next, tragedy strikes, accidents happen. Be there when the calls come in. It's back-to-back episodes of Rescue 911. Next on Discovery Health Channel.
This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, a South American cave diving nightmare continues.
And the bottom of my heart, I thought that he was gone.
Be there as rescue specialists are flown in from the United States.
We thought that it was completely unrealistic that he would be alive.
To find a man trapped for more than 72 hours. Then Rescue 911.
While diving in an underwater cave in the jungles of Venezuela, Gustavo Badillo became lost somewhere deep below the surface. As soon as it was light the next morning, his friends drove to the nearest town and called everyone they could think of for help, including the owner of the dive shop where Gustavo worked.
Hello? I had some experience in cave diving, but I've never done a rescue. I just wasn't trained to do it. So right away, I called a friend of ours in Florida. I knew that if anybody was the person to do it, was Steve.
Steve Gerard is one of the most experienced cave divers in the United States.
This is Vivian Indriago calling from Caracas, Venezuela. We had
She wanted me to come down immediately to help find him.
I can come down if you want me to.
I had no idea where in Venezuela that it was located.
There's a lot involved in getting ready to go down to where you are.
A friend of Gustavo's, Leo Calagaro, who had done some cave diving, heard of the accident and flew in to make a rescue attempt of his own.
When I saw him, I hugged Leo and started crying because for me it was my last hope.
Era un amigo. He was a friend, but he was also a human being. I had to do something for him.
By this time, it had been more than 24 hours since Gustavo first entered the cave.
By and by, they came back out. They said they cannot enter. They didn't have the right equipment, and they didn't want to make the same mistake. When I came out, everyone was upset. Everyone. I told Maria Elena it's best if you leave, because tomorrow when they come, they may pull out a corpse.
So I took all Gustavo's belongings. I left his jacket because it's going to be very cold, and his chocolate bar. He always have one after he dives. I said, this is it. You know, it's over.
When we continue.
Now we're into almost 36 hours that the man's missing. We thought that it was completely unrealistic that he would be alive.
Tonight, follow the stories of 3 women participating in a clinical trial. In search of their pleasure zones, they discover more about themselves than they ever anticipated. Watch Electric Orgasm tonight on Discovery Health Channel.
It's very rare to find anyone alive in a cave. We've had over 325 fatalities in Florida alone.
Steve had convinced his friend, John Orlowski, a specialist in diving river caves like Acarite, to go with him to South America.
I said, well, if he's been in 50-degree water for that length of time, you have to realize he's hypothermic and probably dead.
In my mind, I was going to Venezuela to do a body recovery.
The trip from Florida was 1,500 miles by air and land. By the time Steve and John arrived at the cave, it was 7 o'clock on the morning of the 3rd day.
Mis compañeros, My friends and I, we moved as fast as possible to help them get the equipment down. We didn't know whether to cry or laugh or what, because we felt that salvation had come.
Good luck, man. Thank you, Dad.
We're up there for a few hours. Hopefully we'll find them soon.
The one last thing I said to the crowd was, well, let's hope for a happy ending.
Okay.
But now we're into almost 36 hours that the man's missing. We thought that it was completely unrealistic that he would be alive. You couldn't see anything. You could barely see your hand in front of your face. We could have been inches away. We could have passed the body 6 times and never even seen it. Steve said at that point, oh, just sit here for about 2 hours and go out and tell him we can't find him. Because we're not going to find him in this. But it was like, okay, we're here. We have a job to do. Let's get it done and get the hell out of here. I felt like I had made a left-hand turn. You can't see it? It's just a feeling you have. I saw a light flashing. And I went, oh, you dumb shit. You just swim around in a circle, and you're coming right back up on Steve. So I popped my head up, and I said, yeah, Steve, what? All I see is this person stumbling towards me.
Okay. You understand English?
At that point, the victim had already grabbed me and was hugging me.
Okay.
See? He was realizing that this was not a dream.
We started doing a lot of high-fiving, and it was like, I can't believe it. He's alive.
He's okay! He's alive!
I let out a scream that was heard, I'm sure, several kilometers away. I felt at that moment so incredibly happy.
I'll never forget that moment long. It was like from a movie, seeing that.
Apparently, Gustavo had gotten tangled in the guide rope and became disoriented while trying to free himself.
I kept swimming through different passages. I was thinking, why is this happening to me? My legs. It was difficult to swim because they would fall asleep from the cold. Time passed, I'm not sure how much. I practically couldn't feel my body. I saw the water, how it turned white. I thought, the angels have come for me. And I said, oh my God, heaven is English and the angels are English.
Gustavo and Eduardo did a foolish thing. They went to this cave without having the right equipment or really knowing how to do it correctly.
Gustavo Badillo was treated for exposure and dehydration and released from the hospital that same day. 1 year later, he and Maria Elena were married.
Tengo problemas con María Elena.
I have problems with Maria Elena because she suffered a lot with this. And she's very much afraid of all my expeditions.
Gustavo likes to go to the mountains, to the beach, motorcycle rides. Many places that I've never been because I've been very city-type person. But I love him a lot. He loves my song. And as long as I can and God gives us life, I hope we'll be together.
Gustavo.
Gustavo plans to return one day to explore the mysteries of Acarite, but only after becoming certified in cave diving.
Anyone that wants to go there, we have to tell them how dangerous that adventure could be. I think there is doses of inexperience in all this. It's good to be brave, but it's good to think about what you're doing.
Que Steve y John.
That Steve and John would come down from the United States and want to rescue me without even knowing me. I think that that's a true miracle.
Gracias a Dios vinieron Los Ángeles.
Thank God the angels came and they saved me.
Next.
The lady calmly said to me, "Sir, I don't..." The lady calmly said to me, "Sir, I don't think my husband's breathing." I knew it was total airway obstruction.
Next, step inside the command center where the calls for help are answered and meet the real-life heroes who save lives. Stay tuned for another episode of Rescue 911. Next on Discovery Health Channel. Real life, medicine, miracles.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car, please.